In a luxurious press conference in the heart of New York City, billionaire Charles Davenport stood before hundreds of cameras, a triumphant smile on his face. He spoke in a deep, steady voice. "My son Nathan can see again after 10 years of blindness, thanks to the light therapy technology developed by my own company." The entire room erupted in applause. People looked at him like a god of science. Reporters pushed forward. Investors stood up to congratulate him, and every pair of eyes turned toward the child sitting beside him, 10-year-old Nathan, thin and small, with a gentle face. He said nothing, only stared straight ahead. In his eyes, there was still a faint mistiness, a cloudy trace that made the light his father bragged about seem far from complete. Amid the excitement, no one noticed the black woman standing quietly in the back of the room. She wore a simple nurse's uniform, her hands gripping an old silver necklace scratched by time. It was her mother's keepsake, something she always held on to when she needed to stop herself from crying. Her gaze lifted toward the stage, where the rich man was being praised like a savior. Then she whispered softly to herself, "He is lying." No one heard her words except for herself. Maya Carter, a woman from Louisiana, once a nurse in a public hospital, now just a contract caregiver in the home of a billionaire. No one knew that behind her silence lay a truth powerful enough to destroy the empire Charles Davenport had built, with money, with fame, and with deceit.
Charles Davenport, 52 years old, billionaire in biomedical science, founder of Davenport Vision Labs. To him, everything in life could be solved with money and technology. He believed his intellect and power could even buy miracles. In the scientific community, they called him the Seeker of Light. But behind that title was a man who was arrogant, lonely, and incapable of believing in emotions. His son, Nathan Davenport, 10 years old, was born into luxury, but had never seen the world with his own eyes. A surgical complication when he was 3 left him completely blind. Their mansion was filled with cutting-edge technology, caretaker robots, touch-responsive glasses, automated sound navigation systems. But in that cold, sterile space, Nathan had only one friend. The piano he learned to play by ear. He grew up surrounded by indifferent servants and a father too busy with meetings, projects, and speeches about the future of humanity. Yet none of them ever truly reached him. Nathan lived in darkness not only because he could not see, but because he lacked human warmth. Then, Maya Carter came into his life. A 45-year-old black woman, widowed, once a nurse in a public hospital in New Orleans. Her life changed when she dared to expose a corrupt doctor. She was fired, discredited, and forced to leave her hometown to find work in a strange city. Through an agency, she was hired as a temporary caregiver for Nathan. The job description was short: watch over him, feed him, give him his medicine on time. Do not interfere with treatment. On her first day at the Davenport mansion, Maya met Charles. He looked at her with cold eyes and said curtly, "Just do your job. Leave the real work to people with actual education." The words cut deep, but Maya did not react. She was used to being judged, doubted, and looked down upon because of her skin color and circumstances. She simply nodded, then turned to Nathan and smiled gently. That smile, along with her calm, warm voice, is what made the boy look up and ask softly, "Who are you?" Maya replied, "I am the one who will stay with you until the light finds its way back." From that moment, between a forgotten child in a world of luxury and a woman forgotten by the world, An invisible bond began to form, quiet, but strong enough to change everything. The bond between Maya and Nathan grew during countless sleepless nights. The boy often woke up in excruciating pain, side effects from the experimental drugs Charles forced him to take. Each time he would cry out in the dark, while Maya sat beside him, helplessly watching his small body tremble on the bed. One night, the pain was worse than ever. No medicine could soothe him. Desperate, Maya reached into her old bag, the one she had carried since she left home. Inside was a tiny jar of ointment made from the leaves of the sunleaf plant, a rare herb from the Louisiana swamps. Her grandmother used to say that the plant could calm the light that has lost its way inside a person. Whether it was desperation or faith reborn, Maya opened the jar and gently rubbed the ointment on Nathan's temples and eyelids. As she did, she softly sang an old lullaby, slow, sorrowful, yet strangely warm. Her trembling voice blended with the boy's weak breaths until Nathan finally relaxed and fell asleep. The next morning, while Maya was tidying the room, Nathan whispered, "Maya, I can see some light. It's not clear, but it's real." She froze, thinking he was dreaming. But when she saw a faint glimmer of sunlight reflected in his eyes, her heart tightened. She could hardly believe it, but she could not deny it either. In the days that followed, Maya began recording every small change in Nathan's vision. When he noticed the difference between light and dark, when he turned his head toward the sun, when he said he could see her silhouette faintly through the window. She did it quietly, not to prove anything, but because of her instinct as a true nurse, someone who could never ignore a miracle unfolding before her eyes. But Charles Davenport did not believe in miracles. When he saw his son's sight improving, he immediately announced it was the result of the intraocular laser therapy his company was developing. To him, everything could be measured, verified, and patented. Maya said nothing. She simply watched Nathan smile for the first time in years. In that smile, she saw the true light does not come from machines. It comes from faith, the kind a child finds again through an old lullaby and the gentle hands of a mother with a different skin color. News of the miracle spread faster than light itself. Charles Davenport proudly announced to the media that his company's technology had redefined the limits of medicine and held a press conference to unveil a historic breakthrough. Nathan was brought on stage, his cheeks thinner from the long hours of testing. Camera flashes went off like lightning. Charles smiled proudly into the crowd of journalists and declared loudly, as if the whole world owed him applause, "The intraocular laser therapy developed by my company has restored my son's vision. This is proof of the power of science and faith in technology." At the back of the room, Maya stood silently. She was no longer the boy's caregiver, only allowed to assist backstage. Each word that fell from Charles's mouth felt like a knife twisting in his chest. That night, in the quiet of Nathan's room, the boy turned to her and asked softly, "Maya, why did my father say he healed me when it was you who helped me see the light again?" Maya froze, her hands trembling. After a long silence, she said, "Because sometimes, Nathan, the world only listens to those who have the power to speak louder." Nathan lowered his head, hiding his face in his hands, and though her heart ached, Maya began to do the only thing she could: protect the truth. She copied every note from her treatment journal, Nathan's reactions, the days he first recognized light, and even the photo of the moment he saw her silhouette through the window. Then she sent everything to her old friend, Dr. Mariah Johnson, a researcher in natural medicine. When Mariah read the documents, she was stunned.
She realized that the ointment Maya had used might contain an undiscovered bioactive compound capable of stimulating nerve tissue regeneration, a discovery that could change modern medicine forever. Meanwhile, Charles started noticing the bond between Maya and his son. He grew irritated each time Nathan mentioned her, especially when the boy said, "I believe the light came from Maya, not from your machines." Charles's anger erupted. He summoned Maya to his office, his voice cold as steel. "You are just an unemployed nurse. Do not think you have any place in the world of science." Before she could answer, he signed her termination papers on the spot. That night, Maya packed her things in silence. When she stepped outside the mansion gate, Nathan broke free from his nanny's grasp and ran after her, clutching her hand through his tears. "I will tell the world who really helped me see again." Maya knelt down, cupping his face in her hands, her eyes gentle but firm. "You do not have to, Nathan. True light is never afraid of darkness. In time, it will speak for itself." She turned away, disappearing into the cold night, leaving behind the iron gates and the beginning of an uneven battle between a billionaire who owned the media and a woman who only had her faith in the truth.
A week later, the New York sky turned gray, heavy like steel dust. Just as Charles Davenport was basking in the last waves of praise from the media, the real storm hit. The Guardian published an exclusive investigation. Billionaire Charles Davenport deceives the public. His light therapy is a hoax. His son's vision restored by a fired nurse. The article came with complete documentation. Maya's treatment journal, photographs showing Nathan's gradual recovery, and a signed statement from Dr. Mariah Johnson, who confirmed that the ointment contained a rare bioactive compound capable of regenerating neural tissue. Within hours, social media exploded. The hashtag Justice for Maya flooded every platform. Thousands expressed outrage, calling Charles a man who stole someone else's miracle to buy himself fame. Davenport Vision Labs' stock value plummeted by more than 60%. Investors fled, and former allies quickly turned their backs. Charles held an emergency press conference to clarify the truth. He tried to remain calm, but sweat dripped from his forehead. A reporter stood up and asked, "Mr. Davenport, if your technology was what restored your son's sight, then why does Nathan call out Maya's name in the video?" The room went silent. Charles opened his mouth but could not speak. Then suddenly, from the crowd, Nathan stepped forward. He did not need anyone's help to walk. His eyes shone bright under the lights. His voice trembled, but every word was clear. "Dad, it was Maya who helped me believe that light exists. You see with your eyes, but she sees with her heart." The entire room froze. No one lifted a camera. No one whispered. Only the heavy sound of Charles Davenport's breathing filled the silence. He bowed his head, staring at the floor, as if for the first time in his life he could no longer see anything at all. The next day, the board of directors announced his removal from the company. Evidence of his deceit was made public. The media called it the most expensive downfall in pharmaceutical history. When journalists finally reached Maya, she said only one thing: "I do not want money. I do not want fame. I only want justice, for the truth and for compassion to be seen." She refused all interviews and quietly left New York. Yet her story spread, not through noise or scandal, but through a gentle kind of light, the kind no power could ever extinguish. 6 months later, in the southern corner of New Orleans, a small wooden sign hung outside a humble little house. It read, "Light Within." It was a community clinic founded by Maya Carter, funded by donations from strangers all over the world. Here, she blended modern medical knowledge with the traditional remedies her grandmother had once taught her. People came not only for healing, but to feel the calm, radiant energy that seemed to flow from her, the woman who made the world rethink what healing truly means. The media began calling her the healer who taught a billionaire to see. But Maya only smiled and said, "I did not teach anyone to see. I simply reminded them that light never left. It was just waiting for us to open our hearts." Nathan still visited her sometimes. He helped care for blind children, teaching them how to sense light through sound, through warmth, through touch. One day he gave her a drawing, a bright sun over a blue sky, with a messy handwritten line below it. "Thank you for showing me the light." As for Charles Davenport, after losing his company and reputation, he lived in isolation for a long time. One afternoon he arrived at Maya's clinic, standing silently at the door, looking older and weary. He spoke only one sentence, "Maya, I came to say I am sorry." She looked at him, her eyes kind but distant, and said softly, "True light does not live in the eyes, Mr. Charles. It lives in how we see others." And that was where their story ended, but its echo remained. Because sometimes miracles do not come from laboratories or billion-dollar machines. They come from faith, from kindness, and from people brave enough to see beyond color, status, and ambition. And if you still believe that such light exists in this world, share this story. Because some lights only shine when we are brave enough to see with our hearts.